Red lights go out now, and not for Paul Smith, because he doesn't get away now. Does everyone manage to avoid him? Thankfully they do. His car just creeping forward, but Paul Smith, after, well, he said he's not really got the hang of these starts for the first 2 races. That's proved the point in race 3. There's the 33 car briefly going off through the gravel trap. That's Daniel Ashby in his Spire, but looks like Paul Smith has not got away at all, I'm afraid, Josh.
No, so we've got, and Clues is slowing. Oh, he's on the grass, that's why he's slowing. So Dan Clues has made a mistake out of the chicane. So John Cutmore's made a much better start than earlier. Can he go after the leader? Matt Thomason is having a look up the inside of Colin Chapman. He couldn't quite make that work. So busy start, but yeah, there's a couple of cars slow away, and thankfully we didn't have any incidents. I think the safety car is being prepared at when the leaders make their way towards the end of the lap.
Yes, and that's because Paul Smith's car is still stationary just beyond the grid, so it's going to need Marshall's assistance to move that. So hopefully they will have good sight of that as they come out of the head. And of course, they're still racing up to the point at which they see yellow flags, which they should do now on the exit of Sunny. So they will all hopefully get into single file. They will slow down, and they will, although some of them are locking up by the looks of it, and maybe doing things that they shouldn't in some cases. But yeah, the leader, Ryan Yarrow, has now slowed them right down as they come onto the straight. I suspect he might have known what he was expecting to see there, with Paul Smith's car still stuck on the straight. It's now just actually been pushed into the pit lane exit. So ironically, we're now in a situation whereby we'll have probably one lap of the safety car, which wasn't really needed, and then we'll get going again.
But if the cars were coming at full speed, that car may have still been on the circuit.
Yes, so that's true.
That extra time was just allowed Paul Smith to get it off. When the cars were making their way up to the grid, there was lots of practice starts going on, and I wonder if that may have broke the drive shaft on Paul Smith's car. Chris Stevens isn't that far away, so I would suspect with Chris's sleuthing skills we might hear about that before the end of the race. But a real shame, because with the Sports 1000 races have been so good this weekend. Well, this one could still be good, but it's going to be a bit different perhaps. Someone that's not showing on the timing screen, but is actually in 3rd position, is Jonathan McGill, who made a really good start from 7th on the grid. So, now he's been slotted in. So John McGill, there he is, 72 on podium position as it stands. There's Dave Watson, who leads the Cup 200 category. He's been good at getting these cars off the line, hasn't he? Hasn't been able to be right there come the end of the race as of yet. But yeah, I suspect the safety car is going to be in at the end of this lap. So we're still going to get, 11 minutes of racing. What this does mean is lap traffic may not come into effect as much as it has done in previous races.
No, because it will effectively shorten the race by a few minutes compared to the full 15-minute race distance, which we've seen early on during the course of the weekend. There's the Chris James car, the Rotor going through. First time that's been on the grid this season.
And that's a car converted from hill climbs. So it's sort of another one that gets added to the one-off specials that we have in the Sports 1000 Championship. Lots of Mattels, lots of Spires particularly, but good to have these one-off cars as well.
Leaders then are back with us. Safety car is in and the green flag is waved. We're going back racing then here at Croft in the Absolute Alignment Sports 1000 Championship, which is being led by Ryan Yarrow at the moment. The number 54, the champion from 2020 and 2021, leads the way from John Cutmore in 2nd place. The Class R champion, I think 2016 it was, did we say? And he's there in 2nd place. Johnny McGill is 3rd, and Dan Clues trying to recover after that off on the opening lap. He's in 4th place, and will challenge, I think, McGill as they go down to Tower. The Mattel, the blue and white car there on the inside line, goes through to 3rd place. Clues, the F1000 champion from a couple of years ago, is back to 3rd.
Yeah, Dan was telling me this morning the change of tyre manufacturer for this year is suiting his driving style. It's making the cars a little bit, the rear end of the cars a little bit more settled, and he said he's enjoying that. And obviously got that win yesterday. Obviously car issues this morning, earlier this afternoon. Oh, Paul Rogers, he's coming from the back of the grid, isn't he, after that gravel trap off. He got to 14th on the first lap. So how much higher can Paul Rogers get? Because his lap times were pretty good yesterday.
They were indeed. Meanwhile, it is still the same leader, Ryan Yarrow from John Cutsmore in second place. Yes, that change of tyres that Josh mentioned, the cars on Nankan rubber for this season. A lot of different championships having to change the tyre supplier because of sort of changes in the tyre manufacturer situation globally. There is smoke coming from the Matt Thomas car, number 77 in 5th position, so we'll keep an eye out on that as the race goes on. There you can see the 21 car of Phil Hutchins, and he's got one of the Cup 200 class cars just in front of him. In fact, he's got two of them there, David Watson and Richard Webb, with Matthew Booth. Where is Matthew Booth? He's a bit further down the order, in 14th in this race, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he made the best of the starts. So there are the top two. There's Rogers going diving down the inside, and the 5 there just about sees him coming. That's Ed Collins. So Ed just had to adjust his line. He had his birthday yesterday, didn't have a great day yesterday. It's going better though today. And for second, here comes Clues up the inside of Cutmore. Cutmore turns in, and Clues with alongside, and they make contact. And John Cutmore, as he comes across the circuit, has been hit, I'm afraid, by Jonathan McGill. So that didn't go well at all. So what happened there was small contact between Clues and Cutmore. And Cutmore, as he spun across the track, got hit fairly heftily. And both cars are now on the opposite sides of the racetrack on the grass.
Yes, they are. Jonathan McGill really, I don't think could do a lot about that, because he was confronted by that out of control and damaged car of John Cutsmore. Here's Paul Rogers, meanwhile. He's making further progress up the order, and 21 now seems to have a problem as well, and now the red lights are on and the race being stopped, which is not a huge surprise given the damage and that situation up there on the exit of Sunny. So 2 cars stranded there up against the barriers. We could see the car of Jonathan McGill, number 72, and obviously John Cutmore's car was stricken as well on the inside of the circuit. Now some of the cars have headed down the pit lane, which is not what they ordinarily should be doing. They should be stopping on the grid. Now, 98, the John Cutmore car, very badly damaged at the back of the car, but it is at least drivable back to the paddock. I wonder if that damage may be actually more cosmetic than it first appeared, but we'll see about that. So we've got the you can see there the rescue vehicle heading out on circuit, and that's perfectly routine in these situations. And there you can see Jonathan McGill clambering out of his car, but you can see that very heavy damage to the front end of the car, and McGill no doubt will be a bit shaken and a bit sore after that, but thankfully he's out of the car, which is great news to see after such a heavy incident, Josh.
Such a shame for him as well, because he could have been on for a podium finish there after such a good start. But like you say, there was got a very fast corner, and then the contact that we saw. So nothing either driver, I don't think, could do about it. It was such a light touch. Let's actually check. There was a touch between Clues and... Yeah, so Clues went down the inside of Cutmore, and Cutmore, I don't think, realised he was there. Turned in, Clues tried to back out of it, wasn't able to do so, and there was a contact. So that was a real shame that contact happened. And then as Cutmore tried to recover, the back of the car rolling across the circuit, and Jonathan McGill, fully committed there, hit the back of the Cutmore car. And I'm afraid Spire are going to have a couple of cars that need quite a bit of work before the next round. And he will therefore start alongside Colin Chapman on this restart. We're going to have a Cup 200 car well up the grid here, Ian, and they've made really good starts this weekend. And it's going to be Richard Webb, isn't it, who will start from the 3rd row, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
Although I think they're leaving a space for where John Cutmore would have been, so actually there's only going to be Ryan Yarrow on the front row. But yeah, Richard Webb, how high up may he be by the time they get into the first corner, I wonder? And how high can Paul Rogers get in 4 laps? And who will finish on the podium? So lots of interest there. As well as, of course, for that race lead,
yes,
which we expect to be Ryan Yarrow versus Dan Clues.
Should be. Yeah, Paul Rogers pretty helped by the fact that the field compressed again with a new start. Shuby can get away from the line fairly well. Still a good number of cars out here. It's so pleasing to see 24 cars on the grid this weekend, 18 conventional sports 1000 cars and the half a dozen 1.3 litre Hayabusa engined Cup 200 cars, the MK chassis. And it's made for a very spectacular 3 races during the course of the weekend for Sports 1000 Cup 200. Cup 200 drivers picking up points as well in the Sports 1000 standings. They'll get their own award as well during the course of the season. So last car on the grid is going to be that of Chris James, I think. He's slotting into position now. Green flag's waved at the back. 5-minute race coming up for the Absolute Alignment Sports 1000 Championship. And it gets underway now. And it's a pretty good start by the Cup 200 car of Richard Webb, as you thought he might even be level pegging with the lead. In fact, he might get the lead as they head down to the first corner. He is still trying. He's still trying to get around the outside of Ryan Yarrow. He can't quite do it. So it's Ryan Yarrow that's going to lead this race, and it's going to be Carl Austin that's up into second position. And then it's Webb in third, Matt Thomas fourth, Colin Chapman fifth, and sixth is Dan Clues, who's now making a move on Chapman as they head down to Tower.
Ryan Yarrow got all too familiar with Richard Webb trying to get ahead of him last year. Matthew Boover, wondering what he had a problem there. I think it's the mudguard that has come loose. For a moment I thought the suspension had collapsed. I think it was just the mudguard that was moving about. It must have been, otherwise he wouldn't have made the corner. But there's Webb then. How can he stay up there? Well, he's got Matt Thomas up over the curbs on the inside of him, and Richard Webb touches the back of Thomas's car because there wasn't much control, I think, there from Matt Thomas as he was sideways, but he's got quite ahead of Richard Webb anyway. Can Cole Austin get his first podium then? Because he was right up there in second position with a bit of a gap back to now Matt Thomas in third position. Then Richard Webb has basically the rest of the pack trying to hunt him down.
Round the complex they go then for the first one in what's going to be a 4-lap race, we reckon. There's Colin Chapman up on the inside of Matthew Booth there. You've got 43, Paul Rogers coming through as well. Of course, he started the original race from the back, and he's looking to get as high up the order as he can in this race after the disappointment of race 1. There is the Richard Webb car, which is in third position at the fourth position at the moment. Or is he third? He is fourth, yes. So I've just spotted the Matt Thomas car there. I was slightly befuddled. We've got Dan Clues just about to appear into shot here, going up on the inside of Richard Webb for fourth position overall. He's going to get that done. And Paul Rogers tries to get up on the inside of Colin Chapman as well, and he goes through. So Paul Rogers, I should say, up to sixth.
There's Cole Austin going really well in P2, the driver from Devon. Up there in second position, the ex-Matt Higginson car. There's Rogers, so he's worked his way through really well. He started originally last. He had a face full of MK there, as Richard Webb was sideways. And that is the battle for fifth position, because Dan Clues has got ahead as well. And Clues is trying to get himself onto the podium. And Chapman fights back, but there's not much space there. Richard Webb's doing his best to get the best overall result possible for this car, but locks up a bit, runs wide, and this is going to give Rogers the inside line. A lot more downforce in the conventional Sports 1000 machines as they go up towards Clairvaux for the penultimate time in this race for third position. Matt Thomas coming under pressure in from Dan Kluge, yesterday's winner.
Yeah, Matt Thomas third in the earlier race as well, but now under pressure from Dan Clues, who's been pretty strong over the weekend. The gearbox issues persist for the 28 Sabre of Charlie Sladden, having his first race weekend, but there's the battle for third into Tower Corner. Paul Rogers there in fifth, Richard Webb comfortably leading the Cup 200 cars in sixth place, just ahead of Colin Chapman at the moment, and a very sideways moment for the car behind him, which is Ed Collins, I think, number 5.
That was pretty well saved. For Chris James, he's facing the wrong way, coming out of the chicane. He was in 16th position, the highest he's been this weekend, but He's now stationary, not far off the circuit. For third, can Dan Clues make a move on Matt Thomas? Wonder what might happen with that car off the road. Well, he's gone down the inside, he's got third place. Clues, has he? Because Thomas fights back. Clues, yeah, he's ahead then. He's into that third position as the race leader goes up across the line to start the final lap of the race, I think, for Ryan Yarrow.
Yeah, and Carl Austin there in second place still, and then Matt Thomas in third position. So Dan Clues now in third position. Double waved yellows for the cars coming off the chicane as they go past that stricken Chris James rotor. There's 44, Carl Austin in second position. Driver from Newton Abbott, a long journey for him, but hopefully he's going to be rewarded with second place here. And yes, then Clues is third, Rogers fourth, and Matt Thomas now back to fifth.
So can Austin hang on to second? He started the lap 4 seconds ahead, which is pretty promising, I would have thought. Ed Collins did lose some positions, didn't he, after that big slide? He's dropped to 12th in this little pack. There's Thomas. He's behind Rogers as well now, isn't he? Can Rogers do anything about Dan Clues? Possibly not. There's Matthew Booth with that mudguard that's hanging on for dear life. And he's up ahead of Phil Hutchings. But for second, Carl Austin is being clawed in by Dan Clues. It was 4 seconds. It's a lot less than that now, but that's none of a worry for the race leader in.
No, not at all, and it won't be too much worry for Carl Austin either, I don't think, because Ryan Yarrow comes up to the checkered flag to take his second win in the space of about a couple of hours. He wins round 3 of the Absolute Alignment Sports 1000 Championship. A disaster for Phil Hutchins on the last lap. He's off on the grass at the complex, but it's Yarrow that wins. Carl Austin, a great result from him, his best ever result in the championship. Number 44 takes second place, Dan Clues third, Paul Rogers fourth, Matt Thomas fifth, Colin Chapman sixth, and in Cup 200 it's Richard Webb that wins once again from Matthew Booth in second, and Daniel Ashby and Ian Hutchinson rounding out the top 10 at the end of that very short and sweet 4-minute or 4-lap race for the Sports 1000s. After that, red flag, and we wish the drivers involved in that incident well, of course, but Ryan Yarrow will be pleased to have a second victory of the season under his belt already. Admittedly, some of his opposition managed to rule themselves out one way or another from that one, but he'll take that, I'm sure. So that's the Absolute Alignment Sports 1000 Championship, and as we said earlier, it is quite a long break for the next round at Alton Park. Confirmation of the results then. Ryan Yarrow the winner, number 54 in the Spire from 44, Carl Austin in second place, another Spire, 3.9 seconds behind the leader. In third place it was number 8, that was Dan Clues in the first of the Mittels. Then fourth, number 43, Paul Rogers, having had the ignominy of starting at the back of the grid for that one. Fifth to number 77, Matt Thomas, and rounding out the top 6 was number 63, Colin Chapman. Richard Webb was a 2-time winner this weekend in the Cup 200 class. He was 7th overall ahead of number 65, Matthew Booth. Daniel Ashby was 9th and Ian Hutchinson 10th. Further back, Chris Wilkinson completed the Cup 200 podium, I should say, in 14th overall. And Carl Alaban was 15th, then Stephen Hullock, Charles Wright and Charlie Sladden, the final finisher with Chris James failing to make it to the checkered flag. So just 2 more races to come this afternoon here at Croft. We're going to have the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup next in just a few moments, and then we'll round out the weekend with the Tequila Club Enduro Championship. We've got cars heading down the pit lane at the end of that race, and very soon we'll hear from as many as we can as our top 3 before the MX5 Cup race gets underway. Reminder that you can get all of the information about this weekend's racing on the programme, the digital programme. That's available at the 750 Motor Club website, 750mc.co.uk. You'll find out all of the information about the 20 plus different championships and series that the club offers these days, and all of the race meetings that are held throughout the season. So do head to the website 750mc.co.uk for lots more information about all of the club's racing activities. Down to Chris.
Back-to-back victories today for Ryan Yarrow in the Absolute Alignment Sports 1000 Championship. Ryan, it looked pretty simple out there, especially after the red flag.
Yeah, I don't actually know what happened behind me at all, but it was simple, but at the same time, you know, you can do another standing start, your chain can break, or you can fluff the start, and, you know, it's everything you don't want to happen. I just thought, I'll call it a day there.
Well, I'll tell you, penny for your thoughts when Richard Webb drew up alongside you on the restart there.
To be honest, I don't know. I was expecting more of a delay, and then the lights just went out, and I wasn't ready at all. Yeah, and I thought this is going to get tasty, but I knew Richard wasn't going to go out of his way to damage my car, and I wasn't going to do the same to him. So, yeah, it was good. It was good fun.
2 victories, an additional podium as well. This is a very good bid for a third title.
Let's hope it's early days. Yeah.
All right, well, all the best for the rest of the season. Let's have a word with Carl Austin. Second place, pretty chaotic stuff out there, but you've come through and finished in second place. Well done.
That is unbelievable. I can't believe it. I don't know what happened. I don't know how I did that. I don't know anything. I've got to watch the footage back to see that. It's just bizarre. I should never be there.
Well, you've made it, and you know, car looks good. It's all in one piece still. Yeah. Same can't be said for everyone out there. So you've done a cracking job.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just thanks to Paul and Tim Gray Motorsport and that, I wouldn't be here without it. I was going to retire this year, and then I come back with a second. I can't comprehend it. So
you've made the right call to carry on going there. So well done to you. Now, where has Dan Clues gone? Is Dan around anywhere? Dan, hi.
Hi there.
Yes, so third place, and but a bit of an incident there earlier in the race. Can you talk us through it?
Yeah, there was a bit of an incident. I've just been chatting through it with John there. I was catching John into sort of through the S's and down into Sunny in, and tried to look down the inside going into Sunny out. Thought John had seen me and left me room, and then the door closed, and unfortunately just turned John around.
I mean, it's a shame, but a good result for you in the end.
Yes, not a bad result. A little bit messy on the restart from my part as well, but yeah, we got back up to third in the end, and the pace is in the car. So
great stuff. Well, congratulations to you on another podium. Ian, Joss, let's go back up to you. Last race for the 5 Club Racing MS5 Cup coming up next.